Imagine waking up in the morning, and the first thing you feel isn't the sunshine through your window or the smell of coffee brewing, but that familiar ache in your knees or the stiffness in your hands. For many people over 50, this becomes the daily soundtrack of life, a quiet thief stealing away energy, independence, and joy. But what if I told you that sometimes the most powerful medicine doesn't come in a bottle or a prescription or an injection, but in something so small you could hold it between two fingers? I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Today we're uncovering three tiny seeds that science shows can help soothe inflammation, reduce joint pain, and bring back a sense of freedom in how you move. Stay with me, because this story of healing might surprise you more than you think. Several years ago, I had a patient named Margaret. She was in her late 60s, a retired teacher, and she came to me with a kind of sadness in her eyes. "Dr. Brian," she said, "I used to start every morning with a brisk walk around the park, but now I can barely make it from my living room to the kitchen without my knees screaming at me." That kind of pain doesn't just limit movement, it limits life. Margaret had already tried anti-inflammatory pills, and while they dulled the edge of the pain, they also upset her stomach and left her feeling uneasy about long-term use. She asked me if there was anything more natural she could try. That's when I introduced her to the quiet power of flax seeds. Now, if you've never given flax seeds a second thought, I don't blame you. They look tiny, almost insignificant, like little brown specks you'd brush off the counter. But don't be fooled by appearances. Inside those tiny shells lives one of the richest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. Think of ALA as nature's firefighter, moving through your body, pouring water on the smoldering flames of chronic inflammation. And here's the thing about inflammation. When it's temporary, like when you sprain your ankle, it's actually helpful. But when it lingers day after day, as it often does in arthritis, it's like a low-grade fire burning inside your joints, slowly destroying cartilage and making every movement feel stiff and painful. What makes flax seeds remarkable is their ability to gently lower that fire. In fact, studies have shown that regular consumption of flaxseed can reduce C-reactive protein, CRP, a blood marker directly linked to inflammation and arthritis severity. In one study published in the Journal of Nutrition, participants who consumed flax regularly saw significant drops in CRP levels compared to those who didn't. Lower CRP means less swelling, less morning stiffness, and less of that bone-deep ache that keeps you from enjoying a walk or even playing with your grandchildren. But flax doesn't just stop at inflammation control. I like to tell my patients that flax seeds act like an oil change for your joints. Just as oil keeps the gears of a car from grinding against each other, the fatty acids in flax nourish the tissues around your joints, keeping them supple, flexible, and less prone to wear. Margaret tried it, somewhat skeptically at first. She ground up her flax seeds, always ground, because whole seeds pass right through without giving up their nutrients, and stirred them into her morning oatmeal. It became a simple ritual. Within about 6 weeks, she noticed something. The stiffness that usually kept her sitting in the mornings eased up. She found herself reaching for her walking shoes again, first for a 10-minute stroll, then 20, until she was back to her beloved park. The beauty of flax is its versatility. Ground seeds can disappear into a smoothie, adding a gentle, nutty flavor without overpowering. They can be stirred into yogurt, baked into muffins, sprinkled over soups, or mixed with almond butter for a joint-loving toast topping. There's no fancy prep, no expensive supplements, just a spoonful of seeds that cost less than a cup of coffee. And while consistency is key, you won't feel the change overnight. Your body quietly thanks you day by day, repairing, calming, restoring. Another wonderful side benefit is how flax supports the rest of your body. It doesn't just reduce joint pain, it also helps balance cholesterol, supports digestion thanks to soluble fiber, and even assists with hormone regulation in postmenopausal women because of its lignans. This makes it a true multitasker in the pantry, not just a single-purpose supplement. And for those who avoid fish or seafood, flax is one of the best plant-based ways to get omega-3s without compromise. I remember Margaret coming back months later. Her eyes no longer held that sadness. Instead, she told me about a family trip where she managed to walk through the zoo with her grandchildren, something she thought she'd never do again. The medication bottles were still in her cabinet, but they weren't the center of her life anymore. She had found relief not in a pill, but in something nature had quietly offered all along. That, to me, is the real story of healing, not just easing pain, but restoring independence, dignity, and the small joys that make life rich. So when I recommend flax seeds, I'm not handing out a miracle cure. I'm suggesting a partner in your daily routine, a gentle helper that works with your body over time. All it asks is a little consistency and a little patience. And what it gives back can be priceless. The freedom to move, to stretch, to wake up without fear of the morning ache. When most people think of sunflower seeds, they picture baseball games, paper cones filled with salty shells, or maybe that little crunch on top of a salad. Rarely do they think of joint protection. But I want to share a story that might shift how you see these humble seeds forever. One of my patients, Harold, a 72-year-old grandfather, came to see me because his hands had become his enemy. The simple pleasure of holding his granddaughter's hand felt painful. Opening jars was nearly impossible. He told me, "Dr. Brian, I feel like my body is slowly locking me out of my own life." Harold wasn't looking for another pill. He wanted something natural, something he could trust without worrying about side effects. That's when I told him about sunflower seeds and their hidden treasure, vitamin E. Vitamin E is like the bodyguard of your cells. Imagine your joints as a delicate neighborhood filled with houses made of cartilage and connective tissue. Now picture free radicals, tiny, destructive troublemakers, sneaking into that neighborhood. They poke, prod, and damage the walls of those houses, leaving the whole community weakened. That's oxidative stress, and it's one of the sneakiest villains behind inflammation. Vitamin E steps in like a vigilant neighborhood watch, standing guard and saying, "Not here." It neutralizes those free radicals, protecting your cartilage from ongoing damage. What makes this important for people like Harold is that research has shown individuals with rheumatoid arthritis often have lower levels of vitamin E circulating in their blood. Their bodies are burning through this nutrient while trying to fight off inflammation, leaving them depleted. By bringing in more vitamin E, not in a pill, but in the form of food, you're giving your body exactly what it's crying out for. A study published in Annals of the Rheumatic Diseases highlighted how antioxidants, particularly vitamin E, play a key role in reducing arthritis pain and improving joint function. But sunflower seeds don't stop at vitamin E. They also bring magnesium, which relaxes the muscles around joints, easing tension, and selenium, another antioxidant that supports the immune system in keeping inflammation under control. This combination makes them a kind of trio of protectors: vitamin E guarding against oxidative stress, magnesium calming tight muscles, and selenium supporting balance in the immune response. Together, they create an environment where healing becomes possible and pain doesn't dominate every movement. When Harold started adding sunflower seeds into his daily routine, he kept it simple. A small handful, about a quarter cup, either raw or lightly roasted without too much salt. He sprinkled them onto his morning oatmeal, tossed them into a trail mix, and sometimes enjoyed them straight from a jar when he felt like snacking. Within a couple of months, he noticed something surprising. His grip began to return. The sharp pain in his knuckles softened into something manageable. He even told me one day, beaming with pride, that he was able to open a stubborn pickle jar all by himself. A small victory, but one that gave him back confidence. The best part about sunflower seeds is their accessibility. They aren't exotic, expensive, or difficult to find. They don't require complicated preparation. They're affordable, shelf-stable, and can slide into almost any meal without fuss. A sprinkle here, a handful there, and you've invested in your joints without ever feeling deprived. I like to remind patients that joint pain isn't always just about the joints. Many times it's the immune system itself turning against the body, creating autoimmune flare-ups. In those moments, antioxidants like vitamin E are even more crucial. They calm that overreaction, keeping the immune system from causing further damage. Think of it like soothing a child throwing a tantrum. You don't meet the screaming with more noise. You meet it with calm, steady reassurance. That's what vitamin E offers your body. I'll never forget the day Harold returned for his follow-up visit, holding his granddaughter's hand. "She doesn't let go anymore, Doc," he said with tears in his eyes. That moment wasn't about science or nutrients or studies. It was about a grandfather reclaiming connection, about joy flowing back into daily life. And all of that was supported by something as unassuming as a sunflower seed. So while they may look simple, sunflower seeds carry within them the potential to protect, restore, and empower. They don't promise overnight miracles, but with steady use, they can quietly strengthen your body's defenses against one of the most relentless enemies of aging, inflammation. In that way, they remind us of a larger truth, that healing often comes not from something new and flashy, but from what has been growing in nature all along, waiting for us to notice. If flax seeds are the oil that keeps the gears moving smoothly, and sunflower seeds are the bodyguards that protect the neighborhood of your joints, then chia seeds are the quiet multitaskers, the dependable friends who seem to have exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. I think of a patient named Rosa, a 65-year-old who came to me not just with joint pain, but also with fatigue, digestive troubles, and brittle bones from years of osteopenia. "Dr. Bryan," she sighed, "I feel like I'm falling apart piece by piece." What Rosa needed wasn't just one solution. It was several, working together. And that's exactly what chia seeds bring to the table. These tiny black and white seeds may look like bird food, but inside they hold a remarkable collection of nutrients. Omega-3 fatty acids, fiber, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and antioxidants. It's as if nature packed an entire pharmacy into a single spoonful. Let's start with the omega-3s. Just like flax, chia seeds are rich in ALA, the plant-based omega-3 that reduces inflammation. Think of omega-3s as the peacekeepers in a city full of feuding factions. When joints are inflamed, it's like chaos breaking out on every street corner. Omega-3s step in, calming the chaos, restoring order, and allowing the tissues to heal instead of constantly fighting. But chia seeds go a step further. When you soak them in water or almond milk, they form a gel-like texture. That gel isn't just a culinary trick. It mirrors the synovial fluid in your joints. Synovial fluid is the slippery liquid that cushions bones and keeps them from grinding against each other. Without enough of it, joints feel dry and painful, like a door hinge squeaking with every move. Chia seeds, through their gel-like hydration, help your body maintain that inner lubrication. For someone like Rosa, who often woke up with stiffness that only loosened after an hour, this hydration effect was transformative. Then comes the fiber. Many people don't realize how deeply gut health and joint health are linked. An inflamed gut can leak toxins into the bloodstream, which then trigger inflammation everywhere, including the joints. Chia seeds are packed with soluble fiber, which feeds healthy gut bacteria, quiets down the bad bacteria, and helps create a calmer, less inflamed system overall. It's like repairing the foundation of a house so the walls stop cracking. For Rosa, who often struggled with bloating and discomfort, chia not only soothed her digestion, but also helped ease the overall inflammation that fed her arthritis pain. And then there's calcium, more calcium per ounce than milk, in fact. Strong bones are essential for healthy joints because weak bones force the joints to carry more stress, accelerating their wear and tear. Alongside calcium, chia also provides magnesium and phosphorus, minerals that support bone density and muscle relaxation. For someone in their 60s or 70s, this isn't just about avoiding pain. It's about preventing fractures, maintaining independence, and protecting mobility. Rosa began with something simple, a tablespoon of chia seeds stirred into her morning almond milk. She let them soak while she prepared breakfast. And by the time she was ready, she had a soft, pudding-like treat she flavored with cinnamon and a drizzle of honey. She started adding them to smoothies, sprinkling them on yogurt, and even mixing them into homemade muffins. Within 2 months, she returned to me with a glow I hadn't seen before. Her mornings were easier. The stiffness had eased, her digestion had calmed, and her bone scans showed no further decline. She said, laughing, "I feel like I got a new toolkit for my body, and it all came from these silly little seeds." The history of chia adds another layer of fascination. Ancient Aztec warriors used them for endurance and stamina, relying on just a handful to sustain long journeys. It's no wonder when you combine hydration, energy, and strength in such a tiny package, you have something close to a superfood. But unlike trendy powders or expensive supplements, chia seeds remain simple, affordable, and widely available. The key, as with flax and sunflower seeds, is consistency. One spoonful won't turn back the clock overnight, but daily use builds momentum. Over weeks and months, the body begins to shift from a place of constant inflammation to one of balance and repair. And that in turn opens the door to something greater, the freedom to move, to bend, to garden, to dance, to live without pain defining every choice. For Rosa, chia seeds weren't just food. They were a daily reminder that healing doesn't always require something complicated or out of reach. Sometimes it's as simple as a spoonful stirred into a glass of water, a small act of care repeated again and again until the body remembers how to thrive. So there you have it, 3 humble seeds with the power to change how you move, how you feel, and how you live. Flax seeds bathe your joints in soothing omega-3s. Sunflower seeds guard your cartilage with vitamin E's protection. And chia seeds bring hydration, strength, and balance from the inside out. None of these are quick fixes, but together, used consistently, they can rewrite your story with arthritis pain relief and natural joint health. I'm Dr. Brian, and I want you to remember, healing is possible even now. Start small, stay steady, and let nature help carry you forward.